Welcome back to Mystic English, where stories don't just teach you English, they help you see yourself more clearly. If you're smart, if you're ambitious, if your mind is full of big dreams, but your body doesn't move, if you scroll, procrastinate, delay, and then blame yourself for being lazy, this story is for you. Don't forget to subscribe, because here your English grows with your emotions. And sometimes, one story is all it takes to finally understand yourself. Jason was 23. Brilliant, sharp. Everyone said he had potential, but he couldn't get out of bed before noon. He made big plans, but always bailed. He had a to-do list, untouched for weeks. He told himself, "I'm just lazy." But deep down, that didn't feel right. He cared about his future. He wanted to achieve things. So why couldn't he start? One night, Jason clicked on a video. One that simply said, "You're not lazy. You're just scared." It was from the Mystic English YouTube channel. The voice in the video was calm, understanding. It didn't blame him or tell him to just work harder. It said something that struck his heart. There's no such thing as a lazy person. What you call laziness is just a signal, a mismatch between what you think you want and what you truly desire. Jason sat up, and for the first time in years, he questioned his goals. Did he really want to study for that exam? Or was he just trying to make his parents proud? Did he actually want to start that business? Or was it just a shortcut to feel successful online? His ambition was to attend law school. His desire was freedom, creativity, and meaning. That's not laziness, that's misalignment. A few days later, Jason met his childhood friend Oliver at a cafe. Oliver had always been the more laid-back one, never rushed, never bragged, never tried to impress. But now he was doing well. Not flashy, not viral, but peaceful, focused, happy. Jason, tired of his own confusion, asked him straight up, "Oliver, how do you stay consistent? How are you actually doing what you say you will do?" Oliver smiled, stirred his coffee, and said, "Because I stopped chasing empty VIP tables." Jason raised an eyebrow. "What's that supposed to mean?" Oliver leaned in and told him a story he'd read in a blog years ago. There was this nightclub, right? Fancy place, velvet ropes, champagne bottles. But the problem was, no one was buying the expensive VIP tables. They looked sad, empty. So the club owner had a brilliant idea. He put "reserved" signs on the tables, added ice buckets and glasses, and made them look like someone had already booked them. And guess what happened next? Jason smirked. People started lining up to get them? Oliver nodded. Exactly. Because people don't really want the table. They want what the table says about them. They want status, proof that they matter. But here's the catch. The table was always empty inside. No one cared once they got it. Jason suddenly went silent. He saw himself clearly, sitting at a metaphorical VIP table every time he posted study pics just to prove he was working. Every time he told someone he was starting a business when he hadn't even written the idea down. He was chasing goals, not because he wanted them, but because they'd look good if he ever reached them. That night, Jason lay in bed and stared at the ceiling for hours. He asked himself, "What are my empty VIP tables?" The dream job sounded impressive, but it bored him to death. The six-pack he thought he needed to feel attractive, even though he hated the gym. The master's degree he was chasing, just to silence the endless questions from family, friends, and old classmates who thought success came with a title. He wasn't lazy, he was just exhausted from pretending. The next morning, something subtle shifted in Jason. He didn't wake up motivated or jump out of bed with a to-do list in his hand, But he did wake up curious about what his life might look like if he stopped trying to impress people he didn't even like. Curious about who he could become if his goals actually made him feel alive, instead of just looking good on Instagram. So he did something simple. He turned off his notifications, left his phone charging in the kitchen, and took a walk without headphones. For the first time in a long while, Jason heard his own thoughts, and they weren't screaming or panicked. They were just quiet, tired, honest. That day, he met another friend, Emily, someone who always seemed productive, calm, and focused. She wasn't flashy, but she got things done. And more importantly, she seemed to enjoy what she was doing. Jason confessed, "I want to change, but I don't trust myself. Every time I start something, I give up halfway. I don't know if I can follow through." Emily didn't judge. She just asked, "Do you have anyone who checks in on you? Anyone who knows what you're working on?" Jason shook his head. "Not really." She nodded. "That's the problem. You're walking uphill alone. But people like us, we need mirrors. Not to look at ourselves, but to be reminded that we're still moving." That sentence hit him hard. We need mirrors to remember we're still moving. So Emily suggested something. "Let's meet once a week, just for an hour. We will each say what we're trying to do that week. And next week, we will check in. No pressure, but we will show up, together." Jason agreed, partly because he was desperate, and partly because it felt real. The following Monday, they met again. Jason had written 2 pages for a short story he'd been postponing for months. Emily had edited a video, she kept delaying it. Nothing massive, but both of them smiled, because they had shown up. It didn't feel like work, it felt like breathing again. Over the next few weeks, Jason kept showing up. Not always on time, not always full of energy, but he came. And something unexpected started to happen, not to his work, but to his identity. He no longer saw himself as the guy who procrastinated, made excuses, or gave up. Slowly, quietly, he began to believe in a new version of himself, not because he had changed overnight, but because he was collecting evidence, notebooks with half-written stories, a folder of video ideas, a few workouts, a cleaner room, tiny things, but they added up. Emily shared a lesson one day that Jason would never forget. "Don't chase the big moment," she said. "Chase 1,000 small wins. That's how we actually change." Jason remembered Edison, how the light bulb wasn't built in one magical experiment, but through thousands of tiny failures. Emily explained how the brain gets overwhelmed by giant goals like become successful, get rich, or write a bestseller. These are mountains. Your mind doesn't know how to climb a mountain, but it does know how to take one step. So Jason made a new rule. No more goals, only daily experiments. He would write for 15 minutes, read 1 page, sketch out 1 idea. If he failed, he learned. If he succeeded, he won. But either way, he kept moving. And because the goal was no longer to achieve something impressive, he stopped fearing failure. Failure, after all, was part of the data. Just like Edison said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The less Jason tried to be impressive, the more productive he became. And then, the final shift arrived. One night, Jason looked back at the last 2 months. He didn't have a viral post. He hadn't become famous. But he felt peace, focus, ownership. He realized something powerful. He didn't want fame or applause or to prove anything anymore. He just wanted to do work that meant something and feel proud at the end of the day. He whispered to himself, "I don't want the VIP table anymore. I want a table where I belong." That night, As Jason sat on his balcony under the pale glow of the street lamp, he realized something that no motivational video had ever told him. He wasn't broken. He didn't lack discipline. He wasn't lazy. He had just spent too many years chasing things he didn't really want, performing for a crowd that never clapped, and silencing a voice inside him that had always been whispering, "Choose you." He took a deep breath, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel guilty for not doing more. He felt proud of doing less, but doing it with intention. The version of him who used to beat himself up for not working hard enough, for not being on his grind, for not posting productivity updates, that version was slowly fading. And in its place, a new identity was taking shape. One who worked quietly, chose wisely, and moved with peace, not pressure. And that's the truth no one tells you. That the real problem isn't laziness. It's pretending to want things you never desired in the first place. When you align your ambition with your heart, when your goals feel like home, discipline stops being a fight. It becomes a flow. And the best part, you don't need to do it alone. One friend, one mirror, one tiny win at a time. That's enough, because you are enough. If this story helped you shift the way you think about laziness, if it made you pause and ask what you truly want, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you saw a part of yourself in Jason's journey, even a small part, comment below. I'm not lazy. I'm just learning to choose better. Thank you for watching. This is Mystic English, where every story doesn't just teach you English, it teaches you how to understand yourself. We'll meet you in the next story. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and stay honest with your heart.